Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about loops in Kotlin, and we will create a simple program that prints our class and explore different ways which we can utilize the power of loops in Kotlin. So programming involves performing repetitive tasks, which if we code it manually, it can be a tedious process. So for example, if we want to print a statement 100 times, for example, it could take a lot for the sake of just printing. So loop help us to solve this problem with just a few lines of code. So without further ado, let's see here an example. So for example, if we have here a loop and we are going to use the for keyword, and this denotes that we are going inside a loop, and here we have to specify I, or you can specify here a name. For example, if we can write here line, and also we have to specify a keyword in, and this one is going to be a logic. It's going to check in this range. So we have to specify here a range, and for example, we want to print this to 10 times, and we want to print here, for example, Now we are going to access this value here, and let's try to run our application and see how it's going to print here. Now as you can see here, it has printed this 10 times hello for loop with incrementing this number, the number of lines here, by just incrementing this again and again. Now this was an example, and this was the way which we used to define the ranges. And as you can see here, it creates a range from this value to the specified other value. Now there are different ways which you can use to specify values, and this was the first example. And let's try here to print first, and we are going to write, this is called the inclusive range, which we have seen here before, and this is called inclusive range. So now let's try here and print our function. Let's try to collapse this first. And here we want also to use the for loop, and we are going to specify I in. And this one is called inclusive because it's going to include this number here, 5, as you can see how the previous example here. Now let's try to print here the I and see the inclusive range. Now let's try to run again our application. So this was called the inclusive range. As you can see, it has included the number 1 to 5. Now let's also see another way. So this one is called exclusive range, meaning that it's going to exclude, and here we have just to remove this and use the until keyword here, and we are specifying here until this 5, and it's going to execute and skip this 5 here. Now let's try to rerun our application and see. As you can see here, now it has excluded 5, and this one is called exclusive range. So this is useful in your programming. Now let's try again to see another way, and this one is called the steps. So we want to use the steps, and here, for example, we are going from the range of 1 to 5, and let's see here we use the keyword steps, and now we want to skip, for example, by every 2 steps it's going to print again. Now let's try to rerun here and see. Now as you can see here, now the steps has been skipping here 1 value, for example, because we have specified here 2 steps. Now it has printed 3, and then it has ignored 4 and printed to 5, and this is the way of specifying these steps. Also, we can print this in reverse order. Let's try here again to paste our code, and we are going to print this in reverse order, meaning that we are starting from the biggest value going to the lowest value, and here you use the down 2 keyword, and we are going from 5 down to 1, and this one is called the reverse. Now let's try to rerun again our application. Now the reverse has started from the highest going to the lowest. So this was the different ways. Also, we have another way which you can use the color range, for example, the characters. Let's try here to paste also our code and try. Now we can range here, for example, by using the characters, and here we specify, for example, A to Z, and we use the step keyword, for example. And now we skip 4 times, for example, and try to rerun our application here and see how it's going to execute. Now, as you can see here, it has been skipping just 3 letters here at the middle and printed until Z there. Now, this was the different ways which you can use them. Also, you can nest the for loops. Now, for example, here, let's try to nest our for loop. For example, here we are going to nest this. Now we are nesting again another for loops, and we use this keyword here. We're going to use the I, for example. Also, we can perform mathematical calculations here. For example, we use I, we minus by 2 here. For example, 1. And we paste this print function here. We try to print here inside this. So as you can see here, we have tried to nested our loops, and we have performed the mathematical calculations here to just start to print 1, then again 2 asterisks and 3 asterisks as we are going down. So this was the different ways which you can use these loops in your programs. So now let's navigate there to see how we can utilize this and print an hourglass. So we are going to combine different ways, mathematics and other shortest way which we can use to build our logic.